Welcome to Ideas All Day, a podcast where we, not experts, discuss our ideas and then place them into piles, such as a good ideas pile, bad ideas pile, and the ideas pile. Let's do some intros. The angel on top of a Christmas tree, Ajax.
Hello.
Always up for a cookie exchange, Alex.
Oh, Tannenbaum, oh, Tannenbaum.
And always watching Charlie Brown's Christmas on Christmas Eve, me, Kate. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Ajax, can you tell the listeners what our topic is for today?
Yes. So today is traditions. Because the holidays are coming up and there seem to be a lot of traditions happening very, very soon. So this is a part of our holiday month discussions.
Hooray.
Yes.
Yay, tradition.
Tradition.
Let's get started with something a little bit more classic. It's actually a tradition that's existed before. It's been around for a long, long time, but its importance dwindled out. And that is the Yule log. Do you guys know what the Yule log is? Have you ever heard of it before?
Yes.
It's a log.
So most people, when you say Yule log, actually think of the Yule log cake, which is more like a Swiss roll.
Ooh.
Yeah, everything I look up initially with modern versions of the Yule log is usually a Yule log cake, which is a very traditional Christmas dessert. But we're not talking about that one. We're talking about the original Yule log. And we're going back to ye old timies here, where what they would do with these Yule logs is they would literally just take a big old honking piece of wood, and then each person, whether it was in your family, maybe it was if you had a small village, everyone would take a piece of paper, if you knew how to write, and write your wish, like your wish of the new year, because it was usually like the start of a winter solstice kind of thing. But you would write down your wish for the year, and you would put that wish into that log, and then they would burn the crap out of it. They would toss it in the fireplace. They would then take said wish-laden log, the ashes from that log, and then sprinkle it in around the house to prevent hostile spirits from coming in and stealing your soul, as they do. And I would love to see that kind of old-style tradition come back. We have taken so many of the old traditions and, convert them to our own ways. And every country, every culture kind of has its own thing. But I just found that one very interesting. And we don't have enough people burning things. And what holiday doesn't need more burning? Now, the next one I'm going to go over is something very personal for me. This is a little tradition that my family actually does. One of the things we do every year on Christmas, before we open gifts, maybe sometimes after, but we would always have special family breakfast. It always feels like me, especially when before we were doing it, we got up when we were kids, we would run downstairs, open our gifts, and just tear into it. The biggest rule was basically my dad had to have his coffee before we were allowed to open any gifts. If he didn't have his coffee, no gifts. But as the years went on, as we got older and the gifts weren't as important, we started this our own personal family tradition of kind of a special breakfast. And we make what's called a Swiss egg bake. And really, it's just a very heavy cream and cheese casserole that you put eggs like kind of in wells within it, and then layer bread around the edges of the casserole. And the bread toasts, the eggs, the sauce cooks itself, and the eggs kind of cook within the sauce right in the oven. Really, the dish doesn't make as much difference, but it's that breakfast and together, like kind of that morning tradition that, although it may not seem like a lot for a lot of people, it may be people are just thinking when they're listening to this going, that's just breakfast. But for some reason, for me, it's something I'll remember more about our conversations at that breakfast table, or more about the conversations or the food itself, than actually what we got during that year at Christmas. I don't know why, but it's something I still do look forward to every year. And I'll tell you one thing, the Swiss egg bake, and it's not the greatest. It doesn't taste all that great. Like, I'm giving a description, and I'm not giving all the ingredients, but it isn't the best tasting thing, but I still look forward to it. I still look forward to that kind of early morning, sitting around the table, drinking coffee with the family, whether pre or post gifts, and enjoying that time together that we don't always seem to have. And we always make sure we make time for that little breakfast tradition. So I really would like to see like more of those early morning traditions rather than people opening their gifts, maybe having a quick breakfast, but then going off their ways. Even with the kids where they just get their gifts and want to play with them right away, which I understand, but sometimes having that family together this time is a little bit more important. Now for the third idea. This one's needs a lot of backstory. I'm just going to preface that right now. But this is kind of, have you guys ever heard of the Yule Lads?
No.
Are they lads like that are in Kate's trench coat?
Do we burn them?
No, you do not burn them, but they are not in anyone's trench coat. Now, the Yule Lads are actually a Nordic folklore fairy tale. And they're really kind of more about, but then you have other people that, for the naughty kids, they aren't just getting coal, other things happen. Now, the Yule Lads are pranksters. What they would do is on the 13 days leading up to Christmas, each of the 13 Yule Lads, and each day of the 13 days preceding Christmas, each one comes out on its own day. So the first Yule Lad, his name is Sheep Cot Clod. And you know what Sheep Cot Clod does? Sheep Cot Clod, he would go out to the sheep barn and suckle on the teats of the sheep ewes. So he would drain the milk out of the udders. So when you wake up in the morning, you can't milk them because there's no milk to be had. And on the next day, then you've got Gully Gawk. Now, Gully Gawk, what he does is he goes out to the cow barn and he scoops all the foam off the buckets of milk that are there and steals it. So you're left with no foam and no cream in your milk buckets in the morning. Now, number 3, his name is Stubby. Now, what Stubby does is when he goes into, sneaks into people's houses and he steals food that's left over in frying pans. Because that's, he gets super hungry and, he just really loves old frying pan food. Number 4, his name is Spoon Licker. Guess what he does?
He's a spoon licker.
He licks spoons. He comes in your house and licks all your spoons. And then the next day you got old Pot Scraper. Old Pot Scraper, he finds all your unwashed pot lids and licks them clean. And then you got a Pot Scraper, next is your Bowl Licker. He takes, because where is the most obvious place that you store your food if you were living in a Nordic country?
In the snow.
Close. Kate, what do you got for a guess?
Let me guess, like in the kitchen where there's pots and pans and spoons and...
So close. So very close. It's under the food that you store under your bed. So he would take the food out from under your bed that you were storing. Remember, this is old Nordic folklore. Keep this in mind. This is not modern time. Bowl Licker. Now, these are, of course, English translations. Keep that in mind. These are not the traditional names. Now, on to the next one. You got old Door Slammer. He just, in the middle of the night, he'll stomp around your house and slam doors, just so everyone has to stay awake. And then you've got Skyer Gobbler. He eats all your yogurt. Because Skyer was an old version of Nordic yogurt that they would make at the time. And nobody likes that. No one likes someone stealing all their yogurt. Now you got Sausage Swiper, who steals all your sausages.
Swiper, no swipey.
A sausage swiper?
Sausage Swiper. And then we can't forget old Window Peeper, who looks in your windows and checks out to see if you have anything good to steal. He looks over the windowsill or looks with his binoculars.
That's how you get on lists.
Exactly. Of course, then you've got Door Sniffer.
Once again, this is how you get on lists.
Well, he only steals baked goods. He's looking at pies. He wants to nibble on the crusts of pies that are cooling on the windowsills and under doors. Who does that? Door Sniffer does, of course.
He bakes a pie?
Yes.
No, he sniffs and nibbles on pies.
Exactly.
He doesn't bake them.
Yeah. And then you got old Meat Hook, who steals meat using his big old meat hook. Literal meat hook.
He's a meat hooker.
He is. And he has a penchant for smoked lamb leg, just so you know. So be careful if you have any smoked lamb leg on the day before Christmas Eve. And then the last but not least is the old candle beggar who goes around stealing all the candles. And that's the 13 Yule lads. Now, there is actually someone that comes out on Christmas Day, which is the mother of the Yule lads. Her name is Gryla. I'm probably poorly pronouncing that. Now, what she does is she'll travel around on Christmas Day, and she'll take all the naughty children and boil them alive. The Yule lads are just pranksters. She is the real one you want to watch out for.
Does she boil her own children?
No, actually, the Yule lads are her children.
Oh, so she boils the other random children.
Exactly.
So she's a hypocrite.
No, she just boils. She's actually evil, but she boils naughty children specifically.
But her children are naughty.
They're pranksters, yes, but they're
not
so
like Elf on a Shelf?
ill-willed.
So she's a hypocrite.
No, because they are not necessarily evil. They're just mischievous.
I don't know.
Evil.
Stealing, molesting my sheep. These are all not peeping. These are all sounding very evil-like deeds.
I never said they were good deeds that they were doing, but there's no one really getting harmed during them. There's just people...
Except for the boiling of children.
That's the mother. She's the evil one. She's definitely evil. And their father is just really lazy and just stays home all the time. He is a neutral figure through and through and gives no craps. Now, that is not the idea, by the way. That is the backstory for the idea. Because what I want to see happen is I want to see a modern version of the Yule lads. Or as I'm going to call them, the Yule dudes. What I came up with, although I don't have 13 of them, I came up with some ideas for some of these Yule dudes that might have some little mischievous things that are a little bit more threatening for the naughty children out there to avoid. Including, number one, old Pumpkin Spice Pete, who comes in the night and drinks all your pumpkin spice creamer that you're still hoarding on from fall time because people love freaking pumpkin spice all the time. And then you got old Hollyhock, who likes to steal foam off of your Frappuccinos, because nobody likes a foam-free Frappuccino. Then next on the list is old Chubby. What Chubby likes to do is he likes to go, when you're not looking, he likes to steal the cheese off your McDonald's wrappers, which is the best cheese at McDonald's, is the cheese that sticks to the wrapper. And he's there to take it from you. Next is just spoon liquor, because he licks spoons and it's COVID still. So nobody likes anybody licking spoons. So I think that's still a good threat. And I just like the name Spoon Liquor. The next Yule dude, who I like to affectionately call Cable Cruncher. And what he does is he steals all of your unwatched and unmanaged cell phone chargers that all you damn kids leave sitting around willy-nilly, and then you get lost, and then you have to go to some random Walmart, Five Below or whatever, to get more of them that you're just going to break and lose anyways. So yeah, Cable Cruncher eats those cables. Now, the next one is Nutter Butter. Old Nutter Butter, he sneaks into your kitchen at night and looks all your jars of peanut butter and Nutella empty, especially your partial jars. You know, that part that you had to usually had to scrape out of the bottom anyways with a knife. You know, but you didn't want to throw out because it was still good enough to use. But no, he goes in there, has a really long tongue, and he just licks it all up and then leaves the jar for you. And last of my the Yule lads I've come up with is affectionately called Skin Sucker. And what Skin Sucker does is he eats all the skin off of fried chicken. I mean, the best part of fried chicken is the skin. Everybody knows it. No matter what anybody says, it's the truth. No matter what they say. The fried chicken skin is the best part of the chicken. And he takes it from you because you've all been naughty boys and girls out there. Now, I don't have any more Yule dudes, but I do have their mother. And her name is Karen. And what Karen does on Christmas Day is she goes around to your house, the houses of all the naughty boys and girls, and basically screams at the top of her lungs outside of your house, saying how she wants to speak to the manager of this establishment and how she feels very mistreated, so that no one can get any sleep in the middle of the night. So that's what I've got so far in terms of my modern take on the Yule lads. And I'd like to see that something where it's not just about Santa for Christmas specifically, but you know, about more of a holiday tradition. But it doesn't have to be just about that. And it gives a little bit of a prankster kind of vibe that you can use in modern day, that because not many people have sausages hanging out that you can steal, or foam that you're going to scrape off the top of milk buckets. So I just thought it'd be something fun and interesting and, a nice story to tell as Christmas goes on, rather than just sticking in a elf on a shelf to watch kids if they're being bad.
So you just get 13 Yule dudes there.
Yeah.
They're sitting on the shelf instead.
No, they're sneaking in at night and, licking your spoons.
You're not thinking about making the whole collector set, though. I mean, this is marketable.
It is very marketable. It is very marketable, but it's one of the things you've got to catch on first, and then you can make it marketable. But you got to first. We need to get all 13 Yule dudes and kind of a nondescript Karen, because it's not like a real Karen, unless it is real Karen. That is my third idea. On my next idea. Now, what is one of the best parts of Halloween? I'm harkening back a couple seasons, but what's one of the fun events that can occur during Halloween?
Bobbing for apples.
True. It's a big event.
Going to the hay rides and
True.
the scare attractions.
That is very true. This is a little bit not obscure, but well known, is Rocky Horror Picture Show, like stage shows, where you have the movie on top and you've got, just people going up on stage in costume, playing it out. Have you guys seen those before? Like, whether gone to it in person or seeing videos of it?
Oh, sir.
Or been a part of it?
Well, yes.
Mhm.
Ajax
Nice.
actually popped my Rocky Horror Picture Show cherry.
I did.
No way.
Did I sit
Uh,
on your lap, too?
You did sit on my lap.
Yeah. I felt
Ajax
most
was
comfortable
in.
right there.
Yeah, it's a comfortable lap. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
Yeah.
The best part was I was wearing really chunky heeled boots, and so Ajax sitting on my lap was too tall for her feet to hit the floor, so she was kind of just dangling her.
I was like a
Toesies.
child.
We're very much like a child.
I was like
I
a
can
child.
see that.
sitting in your lap.
I can definitely
Um,
see that.
Ground.
But Ajax was in would you say a play version?
Yeah.
Of Rocky Horror Picture Show that me and my roommates at the time went to. So
But
yes, we know about the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
All right, so you know about it, but at the same time, there's a lot of times where there's a lot of audience involvement when there's replaying of it.
Callbacks. There's callbacks.
Yes.
You
Yes,
throw
there
a
is.
toast. There was a toast battle on
Cards.
stage. Yep.
Why are we doing something like that in the holiday season? And what is the most iconic Christmas movie of all time?
Miracle on 31st Street.
Close, both close, and good examples. But no, the most iconic Christmas movie of all time, Die Hard. Now,
That and then Nightmare Before Christmas.
very good. Also, mix in Halloween. I like that one, and actually, still very good. But Die Hard. Why are we not doing a physical reenactment of the Die Hard movie, similar to what you get when you go to like Disney and you see those stage shows, but having it where it's audience participation, where you've
What
got
do you
your
throw
John.
on stage?
What was that?
Like, how do you do the callbacks? Like, I mean,
You
I haven't
shoot
seen
at
Die
the
Hard enough.
actors.
Exactly. There's the pantomime of what's going on screen. The actors are playing out in real time, as each floor is going on.
I mean, we can produce callback. I mean, we can make a show within a show.
Exactly.
They're my favorite kind of shows.
I mean,
I
there's
like
so
it
much
when
fun.
the audience has a show along with the show.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Having the show with the show. While you're watching the movie, there's people on stage playing the roles, having a great time, just having fun with it. Having a stage version of Nakatomi Tower and just going and having fun with it. Just how many times do you see an action movie version? There's always musicals. It's always, why not an action version? And it's Christmassy. And now my last idea is really all about bringing a family together. And what I'm talking about is a staged family kidnapping, where a family is kidnapped and taken to an undisclosed location where they have to basically fight for survival against their kidnappers. I mean, it's all staged, but what doesn't save togetherness and family ties more than seeing good old dad tied to a chair, getting his testicles shocked with a car battery? I mean, after an event and a time together like that, your family ties and bonds are going to be stronger than ever. And afterwards, you would have hot cocoa when you got home. And who doesn't love hot cocoa? But those are all my ideas, and I think every single one of them is wonderful and magical. and about family and togetherness.
I'll do Alex's pilings. First idea, the Yule log. I like the prevention of the hostile spirits, and I also like the burninating of the log as a pyrodendron necrophiliac. I approve of this idea. So automatically good idea pile, but also you can achieve the same result of spirit blocking by salting around
I was
as
going to mention that as well.
by supernatural. Thank you, Winchesters. So, yes, good idea pile because screw demons. So, idea number 2, breakfast tradition, Swiss egg bake. I think this is a good idea. Food is always a good idea for a tradition. You should always repeat food. I agree. It's delicious. And when there's cheese involved, boom, good idea. All
It's
right.
literally a ton of cheese. I can't even tell you how much cheese goes in this.
Okay, so for the Yule lads and the Yule dudes, I feel like there was a big jump in time between the two of them. So I'm wondering who would be the in-between dudes? Like, what would be the in-between between the lads and the dudes?
No, I think the dudes are replacing the lads. They're like the
The-
modernized
Yes.
version of the lads.
Yes.
But
So
how did
the
they
lad-
replace them? I feel like I'm missing that backstory.
Well, the lads really aren't pertinent anymore. Like, not as many people have to worry about having their sheep, use milk go missing, or the foam going off the milk bucket, or someone
you know
stealing all
what?
their
I'm
sausages.
sorry. I'm putting this in the bad idea pile because I feel bad for the lads. They're getting phased out, and I feel like they should still be, at least with the tradition of Christmas, the lads and the dudes should be together.
Hey, the spoon licker is still there. He is carried on.
That is not cool. He's the only one. This is not an inclusive group. So, bad idea.
You're a
Pile.
bad person. You're a bad person.
I don't
You're
care.
invalidating not only the lads but the dudes.
Nope, I'm just saying because I feel bad for the lads. They're not with the dudes together. They got phased out. No, this is a bad idea. I want them together because this is Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Ajax, this is a corporate restructuring, so we have to
It's
let
a
the lads
rebranding.
go and bring in the dudes.
Exactly.
I don't care. I am pro lad dude joinery. All of them all together. I want 26 people. 26 children running around licking the Nutella while also sucking the sheep. Like,
Actually, it would be
Sounds
25 because remember the spoon licker's in both. He's a lad and a dude.
still a bad idea. They're not together. Okay. Die Hard number 4. Die Hard the musical. This is a good idea. Good idea pile.
I don't know where the musical part came in, but I'll take it.
It's now
Because
There is literally no
Congratulations.
music to come up with, but I'll take it.
we can make
okay.
music.
And
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
a Saul Christmas. A very Saul Christmas.
Very Saul Christmas.
A very small Saul
Very
Christmas.
Saul Christmas.
No.
There we go.
This is a bad idea. Because Saul is a bad idea.
I like calling it a Saw Christmas.
I a very Saul Christmas.
A very Saw
a
Christmas.
very Saul Christmas.
Even for the bad ideas piling, I will take it just for relabeling and rebranding it as a very Saw Christmas. I love that.
And those are my pilings. They make me aggressive.
All right, let me do my pilings of Alex's ideas. Okay, so the Yule log. As someone who likes burning things, this is a great idea. I'm putting in the good ideas pile. I'm not a huge fan about sprinkling the ashes. I'm definitely more a pro salt person. But yeah, good ideas. Family breakfast. I mean, I'm for having a family breakfast, but I'm not sold on the Swiss egg bake because I don't like eggs. But yeah, but that's a good idea. I think having a meal together as a family is always a good idea. The Yule lads and the Yule dudes, I'm putting them together because, damn it, they belong together. Don't
It's
separate
Christmas.
them.
Christmas.
It's inclusive. Damn it. This
Damn
just seems like a lot of work. If you have a little one and you have to remember 13 days and 13 separate tasks that you got to do to prove that that prankster was at the house, it's hard enough to do like the tooth fairy. It's hard enough to do the elf on the shelf. Why would I subject myself to dishing, like getting rid of all my pumpkin spice, licking all the spoons, doing all the work to keep the magic alive for my kid? No, thank you. I'm putting in the bad ideas just simply because it's too much work.
But
Well, I
don't you
feel
love
like-
your children?
No. That's why I don't have any. Because they're work, and I'm lazy.
Well, if you
Damn it.
want, if we have these children, I would definitely play it up though. I would
I
be
like how we're having children.
I'm hiding the
Yes.
pumpkin spice creamer just to keep the pumpkin spice liquor from. Well, I have to buy pumpkin spice creamer first. I don't usually buy pumpkin spice.
Neither do
creamer.
I.
There's a
Like,
lot of
so I
prep
have to specifically buy pumpkin spice.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
yes,
this is
you
a,
do.
this is
So
a
the
high
kid
prep
Kids
holiday.
see that it gets taken.
Mhm.
They're, oh, where did my pumpkin spice go?
And because your kid loves pumpkin spice creamer.
How do
He
you
literally
know?
puts it in his pumpkin spice Cheerios instead of milk. That's how much he loves it. Now the prankster takes it away because he's been a naughty child.
Ajax, we're adopting a different kid. We can't have our kid.
I
like,
mean,
wanting
I didn't know
that.
you could call the child's likes like that so fast without asking them.
I did.
Is there something you know that we don't know, Alex?
Yeah, why is our child really addicted to pumpkin spice? Did you base it off of
I've
our
met
child?
them. I've met your children
That's kind of creepy.
Future?
in the future. I've been there. I've seen the
Wait.
future.
Are our children the pranksters and I'm the Karen?
Whoa.
But then that would be pumpkin spice Pete inception because he would be pumpkin spice Pete drinking the pumpkin spice in the household of pumpkin spice Pete.
Exactly. He stole the pumpkin spice for him to consume because he loves pumpkin spice so much. It makes
But he stole it from
much
himself.
sense.
But he stole it from himself.
Well, no, if he's my kid
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and he loves pumpkin spice things, and I'm the Karen,
Yep.
then it makes sense that my kid's the prankster.
Or did he steal it from Golly Gawk? While they were out scooping the foam
See,
off
this
of
is
all
why
the
this is going to
cowmills.
bad ideas pile. There's too many plates in the air. There's too much going on. Bad ideas. So Die Hard, which now is a musical thanks to Ajax, interactive viewing, watching. I'm going to put this in the ideas pile, leaning hard to bad ideas. And the reason for that is, as much as I love fire, I feel like there would be too many explosives. The thing about Rocky Horror Picture Show that makes it so great is people can do it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They can do a viewing party and have a very similar experience that they would at a theater. There's easy costumes, easy props. Once you do Die Hard, there's, all these violent scenes. How do you do the drop? And then there's shit ton of explosions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not in the bad ideas. It needs a lot of work before I can sign off and say it's a good idea. But I feel like there's safety issues there. So ideas leaning hard to bad ideas until the safety issues are solved. It very Saw Christmas. I mean, this is definitely in the bad ideas, but I wouldn't mind doing like a traditional family escape room. Just not like, oh, we're getting kidnapped and we gotta fake murder people. But then a regular escape room, I think that's a good way for families to get together and talk and solve problems and not have to deal with dad's testicles being electrocuted by a car battery. Escape room, yeah, good idea. A very Saw Christmas, bad idea. Those are my pilings, which means I got to do my ideas. For my first idea, I didn't necessarily do traditions as specifically holiday traditions. The one tradition we have in our family, and it's whenever we all get together and we need something to do, we tend to play Pinochle. Which, if you haven't played Pinochle, it's a card-playing game, and it's a great game if you know how to count cards. But it's a game that we all agree on. It's a game I grew up on. It's a game I watched my uncles and aunts and my grandparents play. So I think having a game that the family can play together and everybody's cool with that game, I think would be a good tradition. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Pinochle. It could be poker. It could be bridge. It could be rummy. It could be Cards Against Humanity. I don't care, as long as it fits your family. So that's tradition 1, having a go-to game. Tradition number 2 comes from when I celebrate Christmas with my family, and me and my brothers, my parents, we open gifts, and my brothers and me are kind of different when it comes with gifts. My one brother likes really like high ticket items. So, for instance, he would want like a PlayStation 5. Whereas my other brother is like, oh, I really need a car carrier roof thingy, which is like, $50. And then I'm like, oh, I need socks, I need underwear, I need bras, I need this, this, and that. So what happens is I'll have my pile of gifts, and they'll be 3 times the size as my other brother's gifts, but it's because I wanted a bunch of little things compared to them wanting a bunch of big things. When we open gifts, we kind of do it together, and, oh, I got this, you got this. But the one thing we do as a tradition is we open the last gift together. So we each have one gift left, and we all open that one gift at the same time. The problem is every once in a while, a gift will be mislabeled. And so someone ends up opening like my gift as their last gift. But for the most part, I like the tradition of opening the last gift together. Another tradition I think I want to start sooner than later is holidays that involve food. God bless my mom. She's always done Easter. She's always done Christmas. She's always done Thanksgiving. And it's a lot of food to like get together. I'm in a pretty big family. It's a lot of people to feed. So I think instead of her having to cook everything every year, that if we all just, me and my siblings all just brought like one dish, like it would cut back dramatically how much my mom would have to cook. So I think that would be a good tradition to start. Let's all come together, everybody bringing their different foods and making an awesome meal together. For my last tradition idea, certain people you kind of start having quote unquote traditions with. Like whenever I answer the phone with Ajax, it's always the same. It's very consistent. And the one thing my grandmother always used to do, so I have me and my brothers. She used to make homemade cookies. And when she made homemade cookies, we would always fight for the bowl after she made the cookie dough, because we would always want the leftover cookie dough. She would try her best to give us all equal amount of the batter, but the best thing was the mixer beater. That always had the best like cookie dough. So in order to like resolve who gets what, her thing she used to do is she would think of a number from like 1 to 10, and then you had to guess the number, and that's how she would like solve issues. It wasn't until like I was much older that I realized she could have had any number in her head, and she could have picked and choose who she wanted to have what. And I thought that was kind of ingenious. But I don't want that young one to have all that cookie dough, so that number is not going to be the number that person picked. Well, let so and so have that one. So my tradition idea is the tradition of resolving problems via games of chance. So like rock, paper, scissors, even and odds. I feel like that would be a cool tradition to have. But yeah, so those are my sort of traditions, non-tradition traditions.
All right, so for your first idea of having a kind of holiday family game tradition, it's a good idea. When the holidays in general, especially if it's agreed upon and you're not being forced into it, like so many games of Scrabble I was forced into as a child, and I hate Scrabble.
That was me and Boggle. My mom loves Boggle, and I suck at spelling. So,
ours was usually Scrabble and to a lesser degree Yahtzee. Having one that everyone can agree on, which I know for a fact my family really enjoys Cards Against Humanity. My parents are sick, just disgusting individuals, and I cannot say how many times they were usually the winners of that for all the wrong reasons. It is always fun, especially when my dad, who's very straight-laced, quiet, and he comes out like 3 cards ahead of everybody by the end.
Our family's kind of split. It's funny because My one brother bought it for Christmas, and it was just like an extra gift. So he did the I'm thinking of a number, and then I got it, and we played it. That brother did not like the game at all. My
What?
mother didn't like the game at all, and me and my father thought it was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. So it was really kind of very decisive in our household.
So, but no, other than that, I think it's a great idea. Again, really promotes family time together with an activity that everybody enjoys universally. And that really is the holiday time is all about family togetherness, with or without testicles being shocked. On to your next idea of opening the last Christmas gift together. I'm going to put in the ideas going towards good, because, and this is more so from personal experience than anything else, because it was never the starting and finishing at different times was never an issue. It always seemed to come out to who had the most number of gifts. It was quantity versus quality, and quantity always seemed to be the bigger deciding factor. So to me, you could have one person with 100 gifts, another person with 5, but that person with 5 is still waiting an hour for the person with 100 to finish. So for me to put it in the good ideas pile, although there's nothing wrong with it, and it makes sense, again, with the personal experience and the way your family has typically done it, makes sense. It doesn't really mesh with a lot of the ways that my family and my nieces and nephews kind of have come about with it. You know, we've resolved that in different ways, but that's why I can't put it in the 100% good idea pile, because it feels like it doesn't necessarily fix the problem. It just creates a different element that can fix it, but it's not a guarantee. Your next one, the potluck meal. I think a lot of families do this, actually. I know we have done this, especially with Thanksgiving. We've done this, but even for Christmas, I've brought things once in a while. But you're 100% right, where it tends to be whoever's hosting does 90% of the work, and it is not a bad thing to have everyone contribute a little something. It shows what they like, or even what they want to contribute, what they're able to contribute. And I think it really shows, again, togetherness and working towards a common goal. And I love it. That's why it goes in the good ideas pile. So on to your last idea, which was the resolving problems via games of chance. This automatically goes in the bad ideas pile. And that is because it's all about you're essentially resolving problem solving using gambling or deception, which is never good. One, you're either going to get them addicted to some form of game of chance, like dice or, card games. And that's a slippery slope. Before you know it, they're going to start betting on the high school football game or about whose dog can run down the street fastest. And before you know it, they're going to be trying to sneak into the casinos in order to play the slots because with their last dollar instead of paying their bills. I cannot get behind that. Plus the deception, as you put it, your grandmother, no matter how wonderful of a person she may be, she could have deceived you. You're not saying that she did.
No.
You're not saying that, but there was the possibility was there, which in turn means that if you were to use it with your children, you could potentially deceive them. And that's wrong. Bad idea. Automatically, gambling is wrong.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Kate's first idea is the game family tradition. Since I have 0 of these, I'd be curious to see how my family would play a game, such as Cards Against Humanity. That would be interesting to watch and take part in. I think you learn a lot about people by playing Cards Against Humanity with them.
Yes, you do.
Which is really interesting. So
I would love to play Cards Against Humanity with your parents, Ajax. That would be an eye-opening experience.
I am very curious to see what would happen, too. I would play Cards Against Humanity with my parents as well.
I have the game. We can make this happen.
It's true. I feel like this would be an adventure. Not just my parents, too, but my sister to add that in. Like, I feel like that would be another good dynamic.
And sister husband.
I mean, we can just make this like a big... how many people is the max on the game?
I don't think there is a max.
All right.
Nope, not at all.
So this one's a good idea. The next one is open up the last gift together. I feel like this is great because I feel like there's always a lot of time designated for gift giving. And I feel like everybody likes to watch everybody else open presents. You know what? Just open them all up and get it done. So yeah, this is changing up the system, and I'm all for changing up the system. So this is a good idea.
Woohoo!
All right, so food holiday. Everybody brings a dish. I love green bean casserole. I will make it just so I can buy an extra French's onions canister so I can eat that while I'm making that. So then also I can make like an extra 2 pounds of mashed potatoes that I can put in my fridge too, and you're just making in bulk, so you got mashed potatoes for days. All right, I like food holidays. And also resolving things with a game of chance. Since I do this already a lot of times, I feel like we've done this a few times before.
And I think specifically over shotgun in Alex's car, we've done rock, scissors, paper.
That sounds accurate. So since I think we already do this, that I hope it's a good idea. So I'll put it in the good idea pile just to give it in the weight in the good idea pile to make it look like we're doing good ideas.
Yay. Thank you for the illusion of us doing good ideas.
Exactly. And that is my pilings for the day.
Thank you. I appreciate the pilings.
Pilings.
But speaking of pilings, if we're going to do any more, we're going to need your ideas, Ajax.
Whoa, segue. All right. So now for my traditions. So my first one is that traditions often you do the same things over and over and over again, year after year after year, or time after time after time. I want traditions that build to something. Like there's an end game in sight where you can each year or each timing that you do this either adds to the story, it adds to the joyousness, it adds to something. But I don't know, like I would like to see it either increase or like change, like shape shift a little bit every year. So yeah, I want a holiday or a tradition that sort of builds, or I don't know how else to describe it. I want a tradition where you do something else with it. I don't know how else to describe it. So that's my tradition. My second tradition is I haven't made cards in a very long time. So I want to do cards for giving to people. So if you would like a card, I would be making them with my paints and doing acrylic pours on them. So if you want a card, please give me your colors that you would like on your card. They could be any colors that you want, but also your address as well, or the place where you want me to bring your card to, because it could be a P.O. box. And I will make an acrylic paint pour of a card.
Should they reach you via ideasallday podcast@gmail.com?
Oh yeah, listeners, send your name and your address and the colors that you want to our ideasallday podcast@gmail.com. Thank you, Kate. That was genius. My next idea. One year I couldn't go to sleep for Christmas Eve because sometimes you can't always fall asleep because the excitement of Christmas the next day. So around 10 o'clock on Christmas Eve night, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw one of those tasty videos where you can bake a cake. Around 10 o'clock at night, I was like, I want to go make a cake. So I went to Giant on Christmas Eve, and because it was open until 12 o'clock, I think it was. And so I bought cake ingredients. I'm not going to recommend doing it on Christmas Eve again because there was no heavy whipping cream or whipped cream because I was making a crepe cake and you needed heavy whipping cream. So it was not available. And I wouldn't recommend going shopping on Christmas Eve like I did because, I mean, it was kind of nice. There was nobody in the store, so you got to go shopping for everything that you needed without running into anybody, so it was quite lovely. But there was limited supplies, so I had to make it a coconut milk cream or coconut cream crepe cake. So it was very coconutty and it was over coconut by the time it was done my cake. But yeah, I would like to do late night Christmas baking as a activity, a tradition, because that was kind of fun. Maybe not as extreme as a crepe cake like I did before, but baking is kind of exciting at nighttime, and you don't really want to eat it later because you're sick of all the ingredients after eating them all. My next tradition, I would like to, since I haven't really gotten a Christmas tree in a lot of years, I want to decorate myself for Christmas, either with lights, a lighted outfit, just wrap myself in garland or Christmas lights to, celebrate the day without having to cut down a tree or putting decorations outside where birds could eat them and they can get sick if they accidentally ate some tinsel. So I would decorate myself. And yeah, that will be my Christmas tradition, is decorating myself. My next tradition I have is the mixed up day tradition. So I would like to do a tradition where you take part in multiple traditions in a day, from multi-cultures, multi-nationalities, just a mixed up tradition day where like you have a holiday where you're just mixing up the different traditions. If it's Christmas, you're doing from different countries, you're wearing different shoes, you're doing a different dance, but like you get together and you're doing something that you're not used to doing. You're taking part in other people's traditions, but you're mixing them all into a day. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just like you get to learn about different people's traditions. You can make up new traditions and new activities and just celebrate them together. And also the last tradition I was thinking of, I wanted to do a tradition for, going into a room or leaving a room or just doing something mundane. Like you're Kramer. Every time he walked into the front door of Seinfeld's apartment, he would just do this crazy movement and crazy dance as getting in through the front door. I want to have those kind of traditions of like every time I go into a house, I do like what Kate does on the phone where she says hi the same way all the time, or some interesting tradition that way, either by walking into a room or doing a weird dance, singing a song. I don't know. And those are my ideas.
Okay. Building a tradition. I'm going to put this in. I don't know if it's going in the bad or just ideas. I like the idea of like something leading into something bigger, but I have no example on how that would work. So I'm going to say idea, very heavy on bad side, just simply because I kind of know where you're going, but I don't know how it would work. Your making cards idea tradition, that sounds very lovely. It's a nice tradition. It's always nice to get a card. So I'm going to put making cards in the good ideas.
Do you want a card?
I might want a card. Yeah, of course.
What colors do you want?
I would like green and pink. Nighttime baking on Christmas Eve. So, yeah, I mean, I can see this playing into the bringing something to the potluck, because you can then literally bake your dessert for the family meal you're going to have the next day. So, yeah, definitely a good idea. Decorating myself for Christmas. So I think this would work best if you had an annual holiday party, and that could be part of the party, is that we get to decorate you. Yeah, I would put that in a good ideas pile. Mix up day, different traditions. I'm not a huge fan because it does seem like a lot of effort. I went to a New Year's Eve party once, and we did you had to come dressed up as your favorite holiday. And that was kind of really cool because you had people who were dressed up as Santa Claus, you had people who were in, Day of the Dead attire, you had people doing like Labor Day and stuff like that. I went as No Pants Day, which was kind of awkward since I was the drummer who was performing and I wasn't wearing pants. It was the breeziest drumming I've ever done. I think something like on a lighter version would be a good idea. I'll put in the ideas pile. And then doing something, entering a room every time. This reminds me of like football, where they always have like a sign and you got to hit the sign. It's like superstition. I would get a little concerned because I don't want to see it go like to the point where it's like OCD. Where if you don't,
I was thinking about that. OCD.
Yeah.
After a while, I was thinking like, what's the difference between OCD and tradition?
Well, like tradition is when I go through a yellow light, I'll kiss it up to God because it's like, ooh, just made that. If I don't do that, I'm okay. Like I'm not like, oh my God, I'm gonna get T-boned. Whereas if I had OCD, I would think something bad would be happening. And
Oh,
it's like a
okay.
way to reduce your anxiety of things you can't control by giving yourself a task to control something. I don't think it's a bad idea if it's done lightheartedly. Like maybe not every time you went into a house or room or whatever. But yeah, so those are my pilings of your ideas.
Nice.
For my pilings of your ideas, for number one, with your built up tradition idea, I kind of don't know exactly what you're going for. I have an idea in my head, but it's not exactly fleshed out. But, you know, like you said, each year builds on the previous year kind of thing. And I'm going to put it in the ideas pile leaning toward good onto your homemade card idea. Put this in a good idea pile. Anything where you can be creative and sharing that creativity with others. I'm always going to put in the good ideas pile. We have family friends of ours who do every year. They have a custom Christmas card made. It's a photo one versus a painted one, but they always go all out. I mean, they use all the photoshops, all the costumes, everything, and it's just the two of them, but it's something to always look forward to. It's something special. And I'm always, when I go back to my parents' house and I look at all the Christmas cards they've gotten, I am always trying to find that specific one. So I'm always on board with that.
What colors do you want?
Chartreuse and magenta. Onto your late night Christmas baking escapades. Automatically goes in the good ideas pile because there's food involved, especially when it's like you're just like in a mood to bake and it's something you've never tried before. And it's late, you're tired, and it's Christmas Eve with all this other activity. Only crazy sitcom escapades will ensue, so it has to go in the good ideas pile.
Oh, yes. You know how many crepes I made for that crepe cake?
I've seen people that make crepe cakes. I don't know how you did it, especially if it was a tall one. I really don't know how you
made
did.
2 crepe cakes because the stacks, I never made crepes before, and the crepes were all falling over, and it was, yeah. And then that was the first time I made a ganache and cream filling.
That's crazy.
But again, Christmas Eve baking.
Kudos to you for doing that, and it's a good idea. But I think afterwards, when all's said and done, it's kind of one of those satisfying feelings when you've got that accomplished. So that's why it's going to go in the good ideas pile.
Ooh.
Onto your decorating yourself for Christmas. I am going to put this in the bad ideas pile because, number one, you can kind of do the same thing with just like an ugly Christmas sweater that have the lights on it. You can have stuff with garland, which garland's already really annoying. But I know it's like basically you want to not decorate a tree outside. Like you said, you want to protect the birds or you stop a tree from getting cut down and put inside. But I'm for trees getting cut down to be brought inside because they're awful creatures that have done nothing but bad things to people. They've caused more deaths and other things in the world, and they need to be taught a lesson, which is what Christmas is all about. So,
naming your tree.
Yes, and picking one out of the yard or buying one from a farm, decorating it and humiliating it just like it deserves. So the fact that you're not trying to humiliate that tree in front of all of its tree brothers and sisters automatically goes in the bad ideas pile. On to your mixed up tradition day. I love anything where you get to like experience new culture, new traditions that you may never have been exposed to before, even if they're quick, simple little things. It might build into something that you really, your family, or you really enjoy and want to do again on non-mix of ones, or kind of make it a part of a new tradition that you wanted to do that you never knew existed. So I am 100% on board with this. I love it, love it, love it. So kudos to you for that one.
Yay.
On to your last idea of your crazy movement or some action that you do. This is going in the bad ideas pile because you can't tell me what to do. You're not my real mom. And
I'm not telling you what to do. You make up your own stuff.
Nope. This is you because you're telling me I have to do this every single time. If I want to come into a room and make a crazy motion, it shouldn't be required every single time. I'm not a puppet on a string here for your entertainment. You know, if I want to do it myself, I want to be the one to say it. I want to be the do it and only do it when I feel like it. That's why it's going in the bad ideas pile. I know you're upset about it and I don't care.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yes.
You can catch us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor. Please like, subscribe, share, comment.
Click the bell.
And what are
Click the
your
bell.
traditions?
But yeah, let us know what your traditions are.
Do you have traditions that are cool, or do you have an idea for a new tradition?
Yeah, hit
let-
us up on Facebook. Let us know. Comment that.
Book
Such.
or ideasalldaypodcast@gmail.com.
Yep. If you want a card from Ajax, email us at ideasallday.podcast@gmail.com with your name, mailing address, and what colors you would want on your card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for listening.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and hope you're enjoying this holiday season this year.
Yeah, and I'll sing us out by singing tradition, 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 tradition.